Well, hello. It's Brother West, Prophet West, coming back to you once again with another word of encouragement. What I do want to say is greet you in the name of the Lord. Hope everybody is doing well. I want to tell you something, and what I see, and many of you are experiencing. One of the things I notice is that God is changing many mindsets, many minds, and He's turning many hearts. If you look around, there are so many people that are changing. They're changing, and some people are changing for the worse, and that is really because the Spirit of God is dealing with their conscience. He's dealing with them. The Spirit of God is moving. He's moving. He's moving in men. He's moving in women in this hour and the season. And even the Bible said, God, when He poured out the Spirit of all flesh, sons and daughters shall prophesy. Old men shall dream dreams, and young men shall see visions. God is pouring out His Spirit. His Spirit is coming out, is pouring out, and is making people internalize and self-examine themselves. It's making people change the way they think, change the way they live, and assess their life. And it's like, there's one thing that God had told me, even one of the things that God said, He's changing our language. In other words, when you change our dialect or language, in other words, you're able to speak another language. In other words, you're able to relate to another people speaking another language. Likened unto the upper room when Jesus, the Holy Ghost fell. The Bible said the train filled the temple, they filled the Holy Ghost, and the Bible said they spoke another tongue and spoke other men's languages. That language is to be able to relate, to be able to connect with someone. Because if you're able to talk to a person's language, or you're able to talk to a person in their language, that makes them feel more closer to you. And that's the thing about it. In order to learn a language, you got to hear the language. Say, for example, I learned Japanese, but in order to learn it, I had to spend time with someone who spoke Japanese. And so what happened, she taught me how to speak the language. She taught me the heart of the language. And then I was able to actually speak the language. It was interesting, so even about the Japanese thing, because when we were dating, one time we was going to church, I began to pray involuntarily, and I was praying in a language, and it was in the Japanese language. It was tripping her out, but God was using it as a sign, and it was interesting because the conversation, what I was saying to God was, "Why are you mad at me?" And so I was having a father and son conversation with God in another language, in which the young lady that I was with at the time could understand that language. And eventually she became my wife. So God is changing our dialect. He's changing our tone, because with a dialect and a language, there's a tone too. There's a certain way of conversation. There's a certain way of reaching. There's a certain way of getting a person's attention where they can understand. And so this is what is actually happening. God is changing our dialects. He's changing our tone. He's changing the way we talk, because in him change the way we talk, we'll be able to reach more people. Even God says, with loving kindness have I joined thee. With loving kindness, there's a join, there's a conversation, there's a connection. There's something that draws that person, that draws those people, that draws that nation. And so God is putting something in us, or causing something in us, or that's in us, to be birthed out and to become manifest, wherein it comes in a sound, and in that sound, people are going to come. See, because God said, "My sheep know my voice, and a stranger they will not follow." That same God and that same voice is in you. And there are so many people that will hear the sound that's in you, that God sound in you, and they will come to you and come and say, "What must I do to be saved?" And so that's why it's so important to stay focused. That's why it's so important to block out every voice, everything that would try to bring distraction to you. See, because what God is doing, God is shaping you, and He's molding you into a place where you're able to testify. The Bible said they overcame by the blood of the Lamb, and also by the word of your testimony. See, there's power in your testimony, because your testimony will tell of the death, the burial, and resurrection of Christ, to tell of the goodness of what God can do when God has brought you out of various situations. And in that situation, when God has brought you out, you can tell someone else who's going through the same thing, who don't know how they're going to make it, but you can let him know and let them know you can make it, because He's made it. He's made it in me. I've made it. And let me lead you to the pathway where you can make it too. And so this is what God is doing. God is turning hearts back. even in Luke, yes, St. Luke 1:17, it says that he will go before them in the spirit of Elijah. And the spirit of Elijah will turn the hearts of the fathers back to his children. And the heart of the disobedient shall return back to the wisdom of the just. So there's a flipping that's taking place. And we know that when you get a person's mind, whatever seed is in that mind is going to get to the heart. And so when I said God is changing mindsets, minds and hearts, he's changing the mind first, the mindset, wherein he's getting your attention, where you're listening, where you're focusing. And once your mindset is right, then the word's going to become planted in your mind, and it's going to get to your heart. And once it gets to your heart, there's going to come a transition. There's coming a shift. There's coming a movement. There's coming a turn back to order. This is what God is doing. God is returning his people back to order. And it first starts in the home, because the home, the marriage it typifies Jesus in the church. It typifies a marriage that's about to take place. It typifies unity. It typifies matrimony. It typifies oneness. See, because the Bible says one can chase 1,000, but two could put 10,000 to flight. And so this is what God is doing. God is bringing us back together in our mind, body, soul, and spirit. He's bringing us back together with our brother and our sister. He's bringing us back together with husband and wife and kids, that we might become a sound, that God might move and people might know God is God. God bless you.